Hola, hola! In this lesson, we will continue working with the preterite tense. Remember that the preterite is completed past actions. So this lesson is about verbs that are stem changers in the preterite tense. Now, instead of having a boot, we'll have sandals instead. So these are also known as los verbos de sandalia. And you'll see what I mean in just a moment. So common verbs that have a stem change in the preterite. Please pause the video and copy these in your notes and also underline the letter that has the change. Número uno, dormir y dormirse. So dormir, when it's not reflexive, is just to sleep. So for example, I slept 8 hours last night. Dormirse, when it's reflexive, means to fall asleep. So for example, I fell asleep in math class. Número dos, morir y morirse. Again, non-reflexive, morir, is to die. Morirse, with the reflexive se, also means to die, but it is more of a prolonged death. I know that sounds kind of morbid, but that's just the difference there between morir and morirse. Número tres, divertirse. Número cuatro, preferir. Número 5, sentirse. Número 6, mentir. Número 7, despedirse. So again, I want to mention that you need to underline the letter that has the stem change so there's no confusion when you have several syllables. Y número 8, pedir. And there will be more on the next page. Please pause and get these copied. Número 9, servir. Número 10, repetir. Número 11, competir. Número 12, vestirse. Número 13, seguir. 14, conseguir. 15, perseguir. Again, pause and copy these. So what ending did all of those verbs have? That's right, they all ended in IR. So they will all use the regular IR endings. Y, iste, yo, imos, istes, ieron. So good news, none of these will have the Y in the ending like we saw last week. They'll just use the regular IR endings. 2 rules for identifying preterite stem changers. So of course you got the list of common verbs, which you'll need to memorize those, but what if there are other verbs out there, which there are, that will be verbos de sandalia, or sandal verbs. So número uno, the infinitive must be a stem changer in the present tense. So a regular IR verb like escribir, it's not going to stem change in the preterite because it doesn't stem change in the present. Número dos, the infinitive must end in IR. Número tres, any AR or ER verb that is a stem changer in the present tense will not have a stem change in the preterite. So again, in the preterite tense, we only deal with the IR stem changers. How will the stems change? If there's an O in the stem, the O will change to U. That's right, just a U, not UE. So there are 2 verbs on our list that this will apply to, dormir y morir. So down at the bottom here, this is how you might see an entry in a dictionary or an online Spanish to English dictionary. So the first thing in parentheses is how it changes in the present tense. And then the second part is how it changes in the preterite. All right, so let's take a look at the forms of dormir. Dormí, dormiste, durmió, dormimos, dormistes, durmieron. And then we're going to draw just a sandal because just the bottom 2 forms will have the stem change. So just usted, él, ella, ustedes, ellos, ellas. And that's why we call these sandals instead of boots or shoe verbs. Just the bottom 2 forms have the stem change in the preterite. All right, the second category is E to I. So this includes present tense changes E to IE and E to I. For example, mentir is E to IE in the present tense, but will be E to I in the preterite. So again, if you see in a dictionary something like this, you'll know that the IE is its present tense stem change, and then the I is its preterite tense stem change. Let's look at preferir, to prefer. Again, it's E to IE in the present tense, but will be E to I in the preterite. Just a note too, words such as preferir, divertirse, some of those longer words, if you're not sure which letter stem changes, just remember that it's going to be the vowel that is closest to the verb ending. So since this E is the closest to the IR ending, that's the one that will stem change. Preferi, preferiste, prefirió, preferimos, preferisteis, prefirieron. Sandal. All right. If it's E to I in the present tense, then of course it'll also be E to I in the preterite. For example, servir, and again, just an I in the present tense, and just an I in the preterite tense. Serví, serviste, sirvió, servimos, servisteis, sirvieron. Sandal, la sandalia. All right, you try these. I'm going to put some questions in this video, and you will need to choose the correct form of these. Check your answers. Tú dormiste. So it's the to form, so no O to U because it's not in the sandal. Ellos pidieron. Ella repitió. Nosotros sentimos. Again, nosotros is not in the sandal, so no stem change. Usted entendió. This is an ER verb, so no stem change in the preterite. And the last one, la planta murió. La gata no murió. Está tomando el sol. Adiós.